Valmiki Ramayana, Ayodhya Kanda, Book number 2, Sarga 91, Roman numerals, XCI 91. BHARADVÁJA'S feast. Soon as he saw the prince's mind to rest that day was well inclined, he sought Kaikeyi's son to please with hospitable courtesies. Then Bharat to the saint replied, "Our wants are more than satisfied. The gift which honored strangers greet, and water for our weary feet, hast thou bestowed with friendly care, and every choice of woodland fair." Then Bharadvaja spoke, a smile playing upon his lips the while. "I know, dear prince, thy friendly mind will any fare sufficient find, but gladly would I entertain and banquet all thine armed train. Such is my earnest wish, do thou this longing of my heart allow. Why hast thou hither bent thy way, and made thy troops behind thee stay? Why, unattended, couldst thou not with friends and armies seek this spot?" Bharat with reverent hands raised high to that great hermit made reply, "My troops, for awe of thee, O sage, I brought not to thy hermitage. Troops of a king or monarch's son a hermit's home should ever shun. Behind me comes a mighty train, wide spreading o'er the ample plain, where every chief and captain leads men, elephants, and mettled steeds. I feared, O reverend sage, lest these might harm the holy ground and trees. Springs might be marred and cuts o'erthrown. So with the priests I came alone." "Bring all thy host," the hermit cried, and Bharat to his joy complied. Then to the chapel went the sire, where ever burnt the sacred fire, and first in order due with sips of water purified his lips. To Vishwakarma then he prayed his hospitable feast to aid. Let Vishwakarma hear my call, the God who forms and fashions all. A mighty banquet I provide, be all my wants this day supplied. Lord Indra, at their head the three who guard the worlds, I call to me. A mighty host this day I feed, be now supplied my every need. Let all the streams that eastward go, and those whose waters westering flow, both on the earth and in the sky, flow hither and my wants supply. Be some with ardent liquor filled, and some with wine from flowers distilled, while some their fresh cool streams retain, sweet as the juice of sugar cane. I call the gods, I call the band of minstrels that round them stand. I call the haha and hoo-hoo, I call the sweet Vishwasa, I call the heavenly wives of these, with all the bright Apsarises. Alambushe, of beauty rare, the charmer of the tangled hair. Gritachi and Vishvachi fair, Hema and Bhima, sweet to view, and lovely Nagadanta too. And all the sweetest nymphs who stand by Indra or by Brahma's hand. I summon these with all their train, and Tumburu to lead the strain. Here let Kuvera's garden rise, which far in northern Kuru lies. For leaves let cloth and gems entwine, and let its fruit be nymphs divine. Let Soma give the noblest food to feed the mighty multitude. Of every kind, for tooth and lip, to chew, to lick, to suck and sip. Let breeds where fairest flowers abound spring from the trees that bloom around. Each sort of wine to woo the taste, and meats of every kind be placed. Thus spake the hermit self-restrained, with proper tone by rules ordained, on deepest meditation bent, in holy might predominant. Then as with hands in reverence raised, absorbed in thought, he eastward gazed. The deities be thus addressed, came each in semblance manifest. Delicious gales that cooled the frame from Malaya and Dardar came, that kissed those scented hills and threw auspicious fragrance where they blew. Then falling fast in sweetest showers came from the sky immortal flowers, and all the airy region round with heavenly drums was made to sound. Then breathed a soft celestial breeze, then danced the bright Apsaris. The minstrels and the gods advanced, and warbling lutes the soul entranced. The earth and sky that music filled, and through each ear it softly thrilled. As from the heavenly quills it fell, with time and tune, attempered well. Soon as the minstrels ceased to play, and airs celestial died away, the troops of Bharat, so amazed, what Vishwakarma's art had raised. On every side, 5 leagues around, all smooth and level lay the ground, with fresh green grass that charmed the sight, like sapphires blent with lazulite. There the wood apple hung the head, the mango and the citron glowed, the bell and scented jack were there, and amla with fruitage fair. There brought from northern Kuru stood, rich in delights, the glorious wood, and many a stream was seen to glide with flowering trees along its side. There mansions rose with 4 wide halls, and elephants and chargers stalls, and many a house of royal state, triumphal are, and bannered gate, with noble doorways sought the sky, like a pale cloud, a palace high, which far and wide rare fragrance shed, with wreaths of white and garlanded. Square was its shape, its halls were wide, with many a seat and couch supplied. Drink of all kinds, and every meat, such as celestial gods might eat. Then at the bidding of the seer, Kaikeyi's strong-armed son drew near, and passed within that fair abode, which with the noblest jewels glowed. Then as Vashishta led the way, the counselors in due array followed delighted and amazed, and on the glorious structure gazed. Then Bharat, Raghu's son, drew near the kingly throne with prince and peer, whereby the chowri in the shade of the white canopy was laid. Before the throne he humbly bent, and honored Rama, reverent. Then in his hand the chowri bore, and sat where sits a counselor. His ministers and household priest sat by degrees from chief to least. Then sat the captain of the host, and all the men he honored most. Then when the saint his order gave, each river with enchanted wave rolled milk and curds divinely sweet before the princely Bharat's feet. And dwellings fair on either side, with gay white plaster beautified, their heavenly roofs were seen to lift the Brahman Bharadvaja's gift. Then straight by Lord Kuvera sent, gay with celestial ornament, of bright attire and jewels shine, came 20,000 nymphs divine. The man on whom those beauties glanced, that moment felt his soul entranced. With them from Nanda's blissful shades came 20,000 heavenly maids. Tumburu, Narad, Gopa came, and Sutanu like radiant flame. The kings of the Gandharva throng, and ravished Bharat with their song. Then spoke the saint and swift obeyed Alambusha, the fairest maid, and Mishrakeshi, bright to view, Ramana, Pundarika too, and danced to him with graceful ease the dances of Apsaris. All the pleat that by gods are worn, or Chaitrarata's graves adorn, bloomed by the saint's command arrayed on branches in Prayaga's shade. When at the saint's command the breeze made music with the Vilva trees, to wave in rhythmic beat began the boughs of each Mario Bolan, and holy fig trees wore the look of dancers as their leaflets shook. The fair Tamala, palm and pine, with trees that tower and plants that twine, the sweetly varying forms displayed of stately dame or bending maid. Here man the foaming wine cup quaffed, here drunk of milk full many a draught, and tasted meats of every kind, well dressed, whatever pleased their mind. Then beauteous women, 7 or 8, stood ready by each man to wait. Beside the stream his limbs they stripped, and in the cooling water dipped. And then the fair ones, sparkling eyed, with soft hands rubbed his limbs and dried. And sitting on the lovely bank, held up the wine cup as he drank. Nor did the grooms forget to feed camel and mule and ox and steed. For there were stores of roasted grain, of honey and of sugar cane. As fast the wild excitement spread among the warriors Bharat led, that all the mighty army through the groom no more his charger knew. And he who drove might seek in vain to tell his elephant again. With every joy and rapture fired, entranced with all the heart desired. The myriads of the host that night revelled delirious with delight. Urged by the damsels at their side, in wild delight the warriors cried, "Ne'er will we seek Ayodhya, no, nor yet to Dandak forest go. Here we, here will we stay. May happy fate on Bharat and on Rama wait." Thus cried the army gay and free, exulting in their lawless glee. Both infantry and those who rode on elephants or steeds bestrode. 10,000 voices shouting, "This is heaven indeed for perfect bliss." With garlands decked they idly strayed, and danced and laughed and sang and played. At length, as every soldier eyed, with food like Amrit satisfied, batch dainty cake and tempting meat, no longer had he care to eat. Thus soldier, servant, dame, and slave received whate'er the wish might crave, as each in new wrought clothes arrayed, enjoyed the feast before him laid. Each man was seen in white attire, unstained by spot or speck of mire. None was athirst or hungry there, and none had dust upon his hair. On every side, in woody dells, was milky food in bubbling wells. All there were all supplying cows, and honey dropping from the boughs, nor wanted lakes of flower-made drink, with piles of meat upon the brink. Boiled, stewed, and roasted, varied cheer, peachick and jungle fowl and deer. There was the flesh of kid and boar, and dainty sauce in endless store, with juice of flowers concocted well, and soup that charmed the taste and smell, and pounded fruits of bitter taste, and many a bath was ready placed. Down by each river's shelving side there stood great basins well supplied, and lay therein of dazzling sheen white brushes for the teeth were seen, and many a covered box wherein was sandal powdered for the skin, and mirrors bright with constant care, and piles of new attire were there, and store of sandals and of shoes, thousands of pairs for all to choose. Eye unguents, combs for hair and beard, umbrellas fair and bows appeared. Lakes gleamed that lent digestive aid, and some for pleasant bathing made. With waters fair and sooth incline for camels, horses, mules, and kine. There saw they barely heaped on high the countless cattle to supply. The golden grain shone fair and bright as sapphires o'er the lazulite. To all the gathered host it seemed as if that magic scene they dreamed, and wonder as they gazed increased at Bharadvája's glorious feast. Thus in the hermit's grove they spent that night in joy and merriment, blessed as the gods who take their ease under the shade of Nandan's trees. Each minstrel bade the saint adieu, and to his blissful mansion flew, and every stream and heavenly dame turned as swiftly as she came. Wow. Oh, wow. Footnotes 198.1 Yama, Varuna, and Kuvera. 198.2 A happy land in the remote north where the inhabitants enjoy a natural perfection attended with complete happiness obtained without exertion. There is no vicissitude, nor decrepitude, nor death nor fear, no distinction of virtue and vice, none of the inequalities denoted by the words best, worst, and intermediate, nor any change resulting from the something of the four yugas, succession of the four yugas. See Muir, Sanskrit Text, Volume 1, page 402. 198, 1b, the moon. Absolutely wow. First of all, again, we are talking about bygone ages of yugas. Yugas are time and space dimensions. And in Treta Yuga, the world was way more different than than in Kali Yuga, the present age. Back then, people were on average, men were 24 feet tall on average. Men. So so they had much more bodily and sensual strength for any kind of enjoyment back then. They could eat a lot and enjoy all kinds of food and all kinds of enjoyments for a long time. The body was much capable of sensual things in comparison to the Kali Yugans. Kali Yugans, our sensual powers are not as powerful as people had back then during Treta Yuga, 1.5 million years ago. This is a really mind-blowing description of how Saint the yogi Bharadvaja hosted a great feast. He was able to feed, not just feed, but really entertain the whole army. And he had a little they call it a shade, a little cottage, little hobbit house, little holy place where hermits dwell and meditate and do their thing. So, but he was able to expand the space, and he was able to accommodate the vast army Bharat brought. So it's not only just army, it's also all kinds of animals they brought with them. Camels, horses, mules, elephants. So what Bharadvaja did with his mystic powers, he was able to call up different demigods to come assist in this feast. He called Vishwakarma, he called Indra, he called Apsaras, the heavenly maids, the society girls. So everything was supplied from clothes to gems to decorations and all kinds of food. All kinds of things you could not even imagine. Well, that's back then when people were virtuous. Um, it was magical, magical time. We cannot even imagine those times because, again, it's a different time and space dimension, Treta Yuga. People were much more virtuous and not as sinful as Kali Yugans, who literally eat dead, slaughtered cows in the globally satanic burger industry. And because of that, people are sinful and they have to suffer karmically. And no dead kike on a stick is gonna save them from their sinful activities. Satanic sinful activities by slaughtering cows. I mean, description is just mind blowing. All kinds of songs and music was played too, like celestial music. Lazulite, sapphires and lazulites. Wow. Each ear it softly thrilled. Music filled each ear in softly thrilled are just mind-blowing descriptions. All damsels of heaven came to assist with the feast. Immortal flowers from the sky fell. Cool breezes, fragrances, meats of every kind, except the cows. Back then, killing a cow was punishable by death. Killing and eating cows was punishable by death back then. Now, because the world is run by the demons, demoniac, satanic living beings, they slaughter cows and make people sinful. Absolutely just mind-boggling descriptions. All best of the apsaras were called to come, of beauty rare. Wow, all kinds of liquor and drinks were served, and wines. And Bharadvaja was able to call and expand the space of his hermitage to accommodate the vast army. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. Bharadvaja asked Bharata, why haven't you brought the whole army here? And the Bharat said, well, we are too big. We might destroy your beautiful, little, you know, holy ground. But he didn't know the power of the great mystic yogi like Bharadvaja. He was able to expand and accommodate. Wow. Jai Shri Ramayana Ki Jai. Roma Victa. Victory to Ram. Hail Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Ciao.